Hi, this is Jeremy Clymer, also known as Mountain Climber, and I'm here to talk about the songs on my most recent album, Before You Turn Out the Lights.
Mountain Climber. So tell me about this song, American Oak. Do you like wood? What is that about?
I just thought about the process that bourbon goes through from beginning to end, and I thought about how it parallels the human life. And with bourbon in particular, Chardonnay American Oak, that is really what makes bourbon bourbon, and it changes. You go into the barrel one way and you come out the other way, and I just thought that was a good kind of metaphor for life. And there's a lot of things in our life that are our American Oak.
Not ferns anymore. Tell me about that.
So this is a true story. I drove down to Nashville after my grandfather's funeral to visit one of my oldest and dearest friends, and we got into a spat going out to get food. And you know, as men are known to do, we have said some pretty terrible things to each other over the years, but always forgiven each other and moved on. But this particular time we had this little spat. It wasn't even all that bad, but for some reason it triggered a break where we didn't speak for 2.5 years. And in fact, I didn't speak to him until after I finished this song and sent it to his wife, and then I finally got a phone call.
From a bedroom in Denver. What is that about?
So this is a story of Neil Cassidy, who was born in Denver and he's in a lot of the Beat Generation stuff, hung out with the Grateful Dead. And the story is really just a story about somebody who lived life on his own terms, but ended up dying sad and alone, drunk, beside some train tracks in Mexico City. So it just made me feel sad that here's a guy who did everything the way he wanted to do, but he still went out the way that he went out.
So I've listened to Cut Enough Wood, and I can see it's about a marriage, but can you inform me about what else is going on with that? What was your inspiration?
Yeah, I just had the thought one day that hypothermia is a slow, painless death, they say. And as you get cold, you think you're hot, you start shedding your clothes. And I just thought of it as like a marriage breaking up, like two people who were doing their own things and they were not taking care of their marriage. And much like when the snow falls, it's too late to start cutting wood. When your marriage is already broken apart, it's too late to try to save it.
All right, so your next song named Horrible Things. What is that about?
That's just about being a dad. It's about understanding what you're capable of for the right reasons. And from the time my daughter was born, I knew I was in touch with this visceral aspect of being human, that I was capable of all kinds of things that I wouldn't have thought otherwise. If something were to happen to her, there's no telling what I would do.
So song number 6, your grandfather Ray.
Yeah, so Ray was his middle name. It's my father's middle name, and it's my middle name. And so he passed away 3 years ago now, and I just wanted to pay tribute to him and tell his story from beginning to end, because his influence on all of us has been so profound. And the thing that I will always have that ties us together is that middle name.
So what is wearing a paper gown for your song number 7, Paper Gowns?
Well, it's about somebody dying in a hospital and being that vulnerable by being covered by nothing more than a paper gown. It's a story of a guy who's preparing for the end, but instead of having some deathbed conversion or having regrets, he's just revisiting his life with no judgment, just revisiting it for the sake of knowing it's going to end.
A song for Mindy.
That is a song about the younger sister of a guy I went to school with, and she was on the back of her boyfriend's motorcycle after high school and died in a motorcycle accident on Highway 135 in Indiana, which is a place where there are a lot of accidents. And although it had been 20 years since I thought of her, she just flashed back into my memory one day. And it just occurred to me that we all touch each other in certain ways, like fingerprints that just stay, and it doesn't matter if it was a momentary thing or if it was not, but every interaction with somebody is important.
Your song number 9, River City. Tell me about that.
River City is a song that's hung around for a while because I really loved it. I thought it was a great song. And it essentially had its genesis in waiting to hear about a job. I was tied to my phone. I was waiting, and I was addicted to the waiting. And whether you're waiting to hear from a significant other or a job or whatever, we all get tied to waiting sometimes. And it just made me think of this Scottish folklore. And I just kind of put those two things together and made what was a mundane thing into a Gothic folk tale.
Your last song of the album, number 10, We Don't Start Fights.
We Don't Start Fights is something that I've told my daughter since she was born. I say, we don't start fights, we finish them. Like, meaning we don't engage with people, but if it comes to us, we take care of business. And in this particular story, this guy has had these things happen to him in his past from his ancestors. And he's saying this to his daughter, like, I'm not passing this on to you. Like, this fight ends here with me right now, and I'm putting this in the grave with this person who's below us. And I'm not going to have you walk away and walk into this life with the same bag of shit that I have. You gonna ask me something?
Why did you become a musician?
I don't know. Why do I have brown hair? I come from a long line of musicians. My grandfather, great-grandfather, aunts, uncles, cousins. I've never known anything different. And probably around the time I was 12, I switched from wanting to be Bo Jackson for two reasons. One, I knew I could never become Bo Jackson. And two, I think Alice in Chains and the Sex Pistols happened to me. And from that point forward, I just never wanted to do anything else. So the new single is Every Other Weekend. It was recorded with all the other tracks on Before You Turn Out the Lights. It's out everywhere December 5th. It's a story about a guy who realizes that he's made some mistakes. He and his ex-wife backed their way accidentally into a very good thing, and neither one of them knew what they had and took care of it. And now every other weekend when he goes to pick up his kids, he realizes how badly he screwed up. And I know there's a lot of guys out there who probably feel that way. So I just hope that I captured that on their behalf.